I am delighted today to welcome Stephen Repton to the show. Stephen is founder and CEO of Flowlio, sorry, he is a skilled and committed business transformation professional who specialises in identifying opportunities for digital change within organisations. He's got a proven track record in planning, shaping and driving the delivery of the digital agenda for corporate technology across an organisation, identifying efficiencies and improvements that introduce more agile, collaborative and secure ways of working, and an improved multi-channel digital services for customer. So Stephen, welcome to the show. Tell people a little bit more about you.
Hi Nigel, thanks for inviting me along. And wow, I've not had an introduction like that before, I don't think. So yeah, thanks so much for giving me the time an opportunity to talk to you today. So yeah, as
Pleasure.
you said, I mean, my background has been working in IT and digital transformation and doing kind of project work since I was 19 years old, which is where I first started in my first job in the NHS, working in IT at the time.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I imagine, yeah, NHS, I imagine was I don't know how old you are, but even so, I imagine the transformation of that has been massive over the years compared to, and it'd be very different to what's there now.
yeah. I mean, it was a long time ago. I'm 52 now. And yeah, I mean, when I started, I did the first project to move all the medical secretaries from DOS-based computing systems onto Windows 3.11, which was a long time ago, and things have
Yeah.
moved forward now in terms of tech. Yeah, following on from that, I was there for a few years. I never went to uni. I grew up in Manchester, from working class background. Never went to uni, and then I ended up, getting a job in a manufacturing company, in their IT team, and then that led on to doing a project right across Europe, which was the Millennium Bug project. And what a white
Oh, yeah.
elephant that was, but it created a lot of work for people at the time. And then from there, I went to work for ExxonMobil, who were creating a new European customer service centre for their Serve Europe operations, and I was part of a team that implemented the infrastructure around that and did the project to do that. And then following on from that, I then went back into manufacturing to be a director of IT. And I got involved in some really great work around kind of redesigning IT services, building teams and implementing ERP solutions, which was quite good and quite stressful at the time, because in manufacturing, time is money, and when systems are not working, it has a huge impact. So yeah, and then subconsciously just learning things all the time, through the kind of work that I was doing and the people that I was working with. And then after I left that job, I had a stint working for myself, which I absolutely loved. And I was only, I was in my 20s, late 20s, early 30s, and I absolutely loved it. I loved meeting people, I loved getting about, and I loved being able to deliver work that had an outcome for the people that I was working for. I did quite well, and what happened, because I'd worked abroad quite a lot, I come back home, and my mum at the time said, look, you're 30 now, you're 30 odd now, you've got to move out. So I had to get a proper job then. So that was when I put my foot into the housing sector, and I got a job working for a huge housing organisation called Guinness Trust, who were doing some merger work, merging 4 organisations together. And I led the technical team and the project to do that, which was great. And then I moved to a smaller association following that to learn more things. And I then got involved, I was the head of IT, and I got involved in redesigning an IT function and rebuilding an IT function, and implementing some IT infrastructure projects, which was great to do. And then that association announced that they were merging with another association, as happens in housing, to create another big housing group. And because of the work that I'd done, I was asked to lead that project. And that's when I really started to kind of program manage, if you like, and really and started to kind of really deliver like structured projects, really big projects worth a lot of money, and using lots of resources that needed kind of time and effort to manage. So I learned a lot doing that and bringing people together, bringing stakeholders together to actually deliver change and transformation. And after that, I went to another kind of medium-sized housing association and worked as the assistant director of business transformation. And then I had responsibility not just for IT. I was looking after HR, I was looking after governance, I was looking after the comms team. But that was great because I had the ability to bring all them together with IT to deliver change and transformation. So I did a couple of projects where we insourced the IT service away back in house from an outsourced service provider who were supplying Oldham Council, and essentially started to rebuild IT and restructure it and put a team in place to deliver new services. And at the same time, we were shutting down two of our offices and building a brand new state-of-the-art office from scratch. So I had the task of leading the IT part of that project, being involved in insourcing IT back in-house, redesigning the way that IT works and building a new team, and also implementing new systems and bringing things together and consolidating things. And at the point I realised that it had been a success. I remember we built our new office, we moved on to our new virtualized infrastructure and our new phone system and all the data and email systems on the same day. So we moved into our new office, went live with everything on the same day. And I remember looking over the banner, over the balcony into the office, and people just working away. At 9:30 in the morning, just no problem at all. And I thought we'd done it, we'd done the project, and that was probably the biggest project I've done. It was huge. And then following on from that, I went on then to do some service redesign projects in housing for the same provider, which was really looking at the way that we delivered, say, things like contact centre services and income collection and how we managed our assets and stuff like that, and how our assets were performing. So I did a lot of projects where I led service redesigns, where we looked at where, process could be improved and IT could underpin better service delivery. And I led all those projects, and the outcome of that was that we were delivering better customer satisfaction. We were getting really good customer satisfaction because we were delivering better services to our clients. So strategically, I was involved in remodeling the business and kind of looking at how we could really improve things around repairs and neighbourhood services and stuff like that, which was really cool. And I loved it because the projects that I was doing at that time were having a real impact on people's lives. It wasn't just, let's implement a new IT system. It was kind of having a real tangible impact on people's lives, which is what I really like. And then following on from that, I went back working for myself in 2017. Bit of a journey. I'd been on the treadmill at 150 mile an hour delivering all these projects, so I took a bit of time out, reevaluated things, and then went back to consulting because it's what I loved doing. I loved meeting people, but I still wanted to keep involved with the housing sector. So I started doing some consultancy work for clients in the housing sector. And what happened was, funnily enough, a consultancy that I used to give work to employed me to actually deliver some of their projects and engagements. To cut an even longer story short, I ended up buying the consultancy back in 2022 and rebuilding it from scratch because it was plateauing a little bit. Rebuilt the consultancy from scratch, made it a real success, and then I've used that to build and fund and bootstrap Flowlio, which is my new business that launched in August 24. We've been building a software solution for project delivery to help project teams and stakeholders and organizations to work collaboratively to deliver change and transformation projects. And what I've built is a platform that helps people deliver projects end to end. It has all the key elements in it around delivery, but it's got much more than that in it as well. It's got things like approval processes, workflow, business cases. You can manage risk through it. You can manage your resources through it. You can plan. You can do all the standard things in terms of, manage risks and issues and raid logs and stuff like that. But it's also got a transformation function in it, a transition function in it, in terms of how you move a project from being a project into business as usual effectively and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. It's not really like anything on the marketplace. And what I've also done is, through the consultancy work that I was doing, I designed my own methodology based on the good, bad, and ugly of all the projects that I've been involved in the past. So I sat down one day and thought, right, we're delivering consultancy projects here. How can we do them even better? So I designed a real quick, simple process that's made up of 5 steps, and that's really based on, the training courses that I've been on in the past and the experience that I've had in delivering big transformational projects, and really looking at the key things that you need to do them well. So I built a process that's a 5-step process, and then off the back of that, I designed all the tools and templates, and we started using them to deliver our consultancy engagements. And our clients were kind of saying, "This is amazing. Can we have the templates off you? Can you train our staff up in them?" So we started training their staff, and then I thought, "Hey, we've got a training course." So I designed a 3-day training course that we deliver into our clients now as well. And got that Ofqual accredited, so people actually get a qualification from the 3-day training course, and that is part of Flowlio. So we've got the process, we've got the software, and we've got the training. And what we're just about to release is we've took the training and we built that into online e-learning that's delivered by AI avatars, and we bolted that into the system as well, so that the system is now an ecosystem. It's not just a project delivery tool like a Monday.com or a Trello or Asana. It's not just enabling people to plan and do task management. It's enabling people to have the entire life cycle of a project in one platform, where all information about your project's in one platform. Everything's visible. You can see dashboard information, you can see how your projects are performing, but it also gives the project teams and the people involved in delivering the projects the key tools that they need to deliver them. But also now we've got that knowledge transfer element in it as well, so that project teams can work with the business, and the business understand really why projects are being delivered and what their part in is in it. So you get that engagement throughout your business when you're delivering projects, but it also helps people embed a really easy, simple, standardized way of working that actually is proven to work and delivers success. So that's kind of what I've been doing over the last few years, and really that's culminated. All that experience has really culminated in designing a software solution that actually helps people to deliver change and transformation. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds like you've been busy.
Yeah, just a bit. I'm worn out. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. I love it. I absolutely
Yeah.
love it now. I really buzz off it, because it's not, for me, it's not really about having a business is great. It's really hard work. What I love is sharing knowledge and experience with people. And if I can build something that other people are going to use and take, and it's going to improve the way that they deliver work, then that's what I want, really. It's, if I can look around in a few years' time and go, we built this solution, we built this ecosystem that's not only being used to help people deliver projects, but it's giving people tools, knowledge, and skills, and a process that works, and through that people are achieving real outcomes. Because one of the things that I spotted was, through the consultancy work that we were doing, really, a lot of project managers are in the middle of everything. When you're managing a project or you're delivering a project, you're in the middle of everything. You've got your sponsors kind of saying, when's this going to be done? How much is it going to cost? You've got your project team underneath you that maybe not performing and stuff like that in some cases, and you're kind of in the middle of it. And then you're the poor person or the poor team that gets the finger pointed at when things are going wrong. And what I wanted to do was really fix that. I wanted to give the people that are not involved in delivery an appreciation for what's involved in delivering, but I also wanted to help people through skills, knowledge, and tools, because a lot of the time in business, we'll train teams up and we'll put investment and development investment into, say, an IT team, for example, or a finance team. But actually, when people are delivering projects, you very rarely get a collaborative approach to actually, well, we need to actually develop these people that are delivering projects. And sometimes what you get is somebody's plucked out of the business, put into a project management role without any support tools or knowledge to deliver a project. And then when things go wrong, they get the finger pointed at them and the blame for it. So what I kind of wanted to do is stop that. And I've witnessed it. It's happened to me, where you've been in the middle of everything and it's that stressful and pressured, and if you really care about what you're delivering and you're passionate about that, you can put a lot of pressure on yourself. But what I've also seen is that organizations don't support people to deliver projects as effectively as they could do. So, a project team still needs support, a project team still needs skills and training, still need tools to do the job. And that's what I wanted to fix, really. I'd had one engagement that we were delivering where poor project manager, went off with stress because the project had stalled. And, that person was saying, everything's okay, everything's okay, everything's okay. And then they came to the point where the project was going to go live and it couldn't go live. And it went million over budget and it went massively over timescale. So then that organisation then had to employ external resources to actually come in and bring that project back on track. And that's not fair to that organisation, and it's not fair to that individual. But if you take a step back from that, and you look at the root cause of the problem, the root cause was really around not having a tool set in place, doing everything on Excel spreadsheets, doing everything in disparate systems, not having the data that gives you the full picture of why a project's failing so you can deliver support. And I think when you get those kind of issues, you go to your project board, you take a report, it takes you like 2 weeks to create a highlight report. You go to your project board, number one, they've not read it. Number two, you try to get decisions made, they don't make decisions. Number three, the report is ripped to pieces, and it shouldn't be like that, because really a project team's role is to enable things to happen and work with the business collaboratively to deliver change, and that doesn't always happen. So it does in some cases, but I'm not saying this is always the case, but my experience is that it doesn't always happen. So what I wanted to do was fix that, and that's what Flowlio does, really. That's what that's the kind of solution that I've designed. Give people the ability to deliver change and transformation really effectively, but give them the support to do that as well.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think over my experience, I've seen that generally, and it's been a bugbear for me, is that the tools and techniques that are put out there, you've kind of either got tools that are utterly focused on that outward facing, upward facing communication, and that pay no consideration to the actual people on the ground doing the work, which essentially means that for me that data is irrelevant and pointless, because if it's something someone has to update and provide extra information about their project outside the way they are running their project or they are doing their tasks, there's a level of filtering going on in what you're doing. And I kind of have that vision of where you have someone who walks in, they have a work list, they would do that work, and that's part, and they all use the same system. Now, when I say the same system, now there could be multiple different interfaces into that and different ways of working. Because I think the thing is, we try to force people one way, and actually, you have some engineers who are there playing away on Slack, and that's how they work, and they do all the other stuff. There's other people who will use Microsoft Outlook as their core tool for working out what they're doing on that, and then being able to meet people at where they are within the teams. That then you collate that data, and then that data goes up and gets filtered that way, means that you've got empirical data coming from the teams. It's always going to be a human. There's a human involved, so it's never going to be perfect. But you've got better, because quite often it's that. I heard one time where someone say, "Oh, yeah, we've got this system and we've got the project managers writing their status reports in there, and we've got all this information in there. That means we've got this empirical data we can base everything on." And I'm like, that's bullshit. Yeah, if a project manager has written a status report, that is not empirical data. That is lies, damn lies, and statistics. You've got lies, damn lies, and project reports. Yeah. It's their view of what they want to communicate to those stakeholders, filtered for things that they're going, I think I'm all right with that, but I'm not sure. It's and it's that balance, isn't it, between.
It is, yeah. And I think for me it's about mindset more than anything. So you've got the mindset of the people that want the project doing, and that should be a supportive mindset. I know there's pressures on to get work done, and there's time constraints and there's budget, but if you've got more of a supportive mindset and you understand why problems are going wrong, and you've got the information to back up why there's problems in projects, you're more likely to step in and help support and put things right. And if you've not got that, then you're more likely to turn around and go, why is this going over budget? So if we can create something that enables that collaborative mindset, which is what I've tried to do with Flowlio. And then the other piece to it is, for the people that are actually delivering the projects and working together, it's two sides to that as well. So, you've got the collaboration around kind of teams and engagement from the business. So sometimes a lot of people working in projects are directly involved in delivering them and going, well, what does this mean to me? Why are you asking me to do this? Because I've done
Yeah.
impact me. So if we can create something that engages people that are indirectly impacted by projects, and so that they take an interest and work together to help deliver them, then that's really cool as well. And then I think that the other one is giving teams the ability to take ownership of what they need to do in projects as well, and making that visible. So I've worked in projects, as I'm sure everybody else is, or I've managed projects or led them, where you've got teams and they're not actually doing what you're asking them to do, and it's not visible, and they're hiding behind that, and it's really, really difficult when you're in that position. So if we can have a solution that makes things visible, makes things transparent, enables people to take ownership and and holds them accountable to do that as well, then that's great. Because if you're doing your job really well and you're delivering, then you shouldn't have any worry around that, and you shouldn't have to hide behind things. And likewise, the other side to that is that by making things visible, it shows when things are going wrong. So, that's when you can step in and you can be more proactive around putting projects right. I mean, I've been involved in projects where, clients have called me in as a project kind of expert, if you like, in consultancy, and said, we've got this project, it's gone 18 months past its timescale, it's gone 2 million quid over budget, can you have a look at why? And then you're commissioned by the board to actually come in and tell them why it's gone wrong. Well, we should be putting it right before it even gets to that stage. So if you've got a system that can show you that, then you don't have to bring an expensive consultant in to tell you what you already know and pay a load of money for it, And then the other side to it as well is, if you've got a system that protects your business and protects your projects when somebody leaves. So, if you've got a project manager that's got all the information to themselves, they're keeping it all in Excel, it's all in their email, or you can't find what you're looking for, that presents a risk to the project. So so if you can have a system that puts everything in one place, makes things visible when they're not there, flags alerts, informs people what they need to do, that then de-risks your business and de-risks those single points of failure in projects as well. And I've seen that happen. So as I said before, it's kind of learning from the good, bad, the ugly, having been bitten by things and learned from that, but also learned some really, really good things as well. Work with some amazing people over the years and learned a lot from them that's enabled me to kind of build what we've got today, really. And I'm really interested in AI. We've already built AI into Flowlio in terms of the training. So later on in January, we're going to be launching our AI e-learning, and that's delivered by avatars, and that's built on the Flowlio methodology and the process that I've designed. And we're bolting that into the system as well, so that anybody that is using Flowlio, if they're inducting new staff into their organisation that are working on projects or stakeholders, they can be trained at that point that they join the organisation. You don't have to send people on really, let's say, well-known, very expensive training courses that people get a qualification in and then never use. So what Flowlio is, it's a practical way of training people and giving the tools that are needed to actually collaboratively deliver projects, not just a qualification. It gives you a qualification as well, by the way, but it's not just a tick box exercise.
Yeah.
And what I found with the training as well, I mean, I remember going on I'm not going to say it, a well-known training course years ago and getting my qualification in that. And I came back and my employer said to me, we're going to send you on a project management course. I went, right. And I went and did it. And I sat in a classroom for 5 days, did 2 exams, come back, got the ticket, got it on my CV. Really, really happy with that. But then there was a huge expectation on me then as an individual in that organisation to actually implement a methodology that nobody else was bought into. So I'd done the training.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd done the training. I'd come back I'm like qualified. I nearly said it then, but I won't say it. But I'm qualified in this particular course. And then, I'm the only person in the organisation that's got that. So I'm then up against it. I then got a battle on my hands to try and get everybody else involved and deliver projects in what I think is the best way to deliver them. And then people are going, no, we're not doing that. So, it's a waste of time, resource, effort, and money on a business's part if you do that. What I did when I sat down and started to design Flowlio was I thought about all these kind of key issues, and that was one of them. And I thought, how can we get a standardized approach to the way that we deliver projects? And then another thing that I learned was I was doing a review of project governance. I was reviewing a PMO at a local government provider, a local authority, a number of years ago now. And there was 4 project managers all sat together in the same room next to each other. And there was a head of PMO. And the chief executive commissioned a review of PMO because the projects were not getting delivered effectively. They were going over time, over budget, etc., etc. They weren't delivering the outcomes that the organisation needed. So they engaged me to come in and review the projects. And what was really apparent was there was 4 project managers all set next to one another, all using different methodologies, all using different tools, all working in non-standardized ways, all not talking to one another, and all the projects that they were delivering were dependent across the board. And I was horrified. I was like, oh my God, how can you be using that version of a RAID log and then you're using that version of a RAID log? And you sat next to one another delivering projects that are crossing over one another. So, simple things like that. And that's a really key issue in projects. That standardized approach to delivery causes massive issues if, number one, you haven't got that standardized approach and everyone's working different. But communication is so easy, but people just don't do it effectively. You got your head down working on a project, not really considering who else you need to talk to other than your project board and your sponsor. And actually, projects are a real collaborative approach. If my project impacts the guy who's cleaning the office every night after we've gone home, then he's my stakeholder. I need to make sure that I'm communicating to him or her. So we have to create ways of doing that, and I think AI can help with that sort of stuff. And what I'm really interested in, so we built out the AI training. I think AI, people are looking, people are using it, and it's fantastic. It's such an amazing revolution to our society is AI and the world. And I've got so many ideas around how we can use it in projects. And I think a lot of people are thinking, I'm going to get AI to type out my business case for me. Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant if it does that. But my head is in another different planet around AI. So I want it to do all that and more. So if I'm in a system and I want to create a business case, I can ask AI a question and it'll help me and it'll prompt me and it'll take away that white space on the page. So it gives me time to think about how I develop my business case. But what I want to do with AI is I want it to help change mindset. So I want it to prompt people about things in projects. I want it to prompt people when things are going wrong. I want it to prompt people and learn from issues that we've had in previous projects so that we can put things right in new ones. And that's what we've got planned in Flowlio. I want it to help me do resource planning. I want it to help me plan my projects out. I want it to help me manage risk and stuff like that. I don't just want it to write stuff on a page for me that I'm going to have to check and rewrite most of the time anyway, So I think AI and the revolution around AI in projects is going to be huge. I think a lot of software providers are already building it into the systems. But for me, it's about how you think about how AI can be used in a project to manage your stakeholders, give them, set their expectations, but also, how it can help you deliver the outcomes that you're hoping to achieve in your business case. And I think what a lot of people don't do in projects, I've been into loads of customers where you say to them, how many projects have you got going on? And they'll go, right, we've got 105 projects. And I go, okay, that's great. Why are you doing them? And you can almost see well, we don't really know why we're doing them. And I go, okay, the next question is, how do they align to your strategic plans? And they go, what's a strategic plan? And I go, okay, so you don't know how these projects that you're doing align to the objectives in your business plan or your corporate plan. And sometimes that knowledge of corporate strategic plans is held at such a high level that the people that are actually delivering the projects don't really know why they're delivering them. So I think that's where AI can come into play, and it can prompt people to think about how the work that they're doing is aligned to their business objectives, and how the projects that they're doing is helping them, achieve those business objectives. And that's where I want to go with AI. And I think that golden thread from actually delivering the outcomes of a project right the way through to having a reason for doing it in the first place are so important. If your project's going away from what you originally set out to do, you should be saying, well, are we going to achieve something better than we wanted to do? Or is it because, our project, it just isn't going to work? And there's nothing wrong with turning around and saying, stop the project. We don't want to do it anymore. It's better to do that than a project just go massively over budget and out of timescale. And a lot of people don't do that. They persevere, and the poor people that are delivering the project get the blame for it. So yeah, I'm on my bandwagon with this one a little bit. I'm so passionate about it.
I can see it's interesting because a lot of echoes I heard there from what you're saying there, and it's interesting. Last year I went to the PMI Synergy conference down in Letchworth, Garden City. They were at the Tesco building there. It's a great venue actually, and it was titled People Matter, and there was a great deal of talk about AI. There's a great deal of presentations. In fact, I've got Lloyd Skinner, who's going to be coming on the show in a few weeks, is from a company called Greyfly AI, which is very much focused in that project management and AI space. There was other companies talking about their sort of side of it and how they see, and just in the general talk of how AI is going to change the way that we use stuff, and that, as you say, just using it like generative AI, where that key thing is at the minute, that's really nice. But being able to take these projects, analyze what's going on, is incumbent on having the historical data. It's incumbent on having it all in one bucket, or like when you get some of the Microsoft stuff, if you've got everything in O365, you've kind of got it can reach into its SharePoints, but having that data, that unstructured data, and being able to use that unstructured data is going to be fascinating. And as the conversation I had day before yesterday, I think it was, we were talking with someone else about how you can start removing the what people think of as the mundane tasks, building a project plan. Now, there's tools out there at the moment. There's been Tom's Planner out there where you can press a button, it gives you a plan. You can say, I want a plan for this. Bang, it gives you a start point. So the plan that would have took you 2 hours in a workshop, you've got that starter for 10. Then you critique it and pull it apart and do the specifics. But the problem is as we get more into going, just get AI to plan it, you lose the skills in planning. You lose the skills in being able to see what's there. So there's a balance between
100%.
that.
100%. Yes. Sorry, Niles. Go on, carry on.
No. You make your point.
No, I was going to say is I don't see AI as a tool to replace people's jobs. What I see is AI as an aid to the way that you think about the way that you deliver projects. Yeah. So it's prompting you, it's getting you to go, actually, yeah, if this happens, that's going to be the result, or if I do this in the plan, that's going to change. That's what I see AI as. I think systems, Flowlio does it. You set Flowlio up, it'll create your project plan for you, it'll create your raid log for you, it'll create your budget tracker, it'll create all the tools that you need to deliver projects. Flowlio creates based off the information that's being put into the system, but and that's great because it's speeding things up and it's making projects more efficient. The key bit to it for me is around how you enable people and how you change mindset. So, if I'm a project officer and I'm coming into work every day, right, have I just got the mindset in, do you know what, I'm a project officer, I'm coming into work every day, I'm going to do 9 to 5, and that's my task in the project. And that's fine if people think like that. But if we can get AI to prompt people around why they're doing that, and the outcome of why they're doing that. That's where the real nugget is, I think. And that's what I think we do. And that's where you'll get better change and transformation projects delivered, where people actually are prompted and they go, I get this and I care about what I'm doing, and that's that. If we can use AI like that, that's where I think the nuggets are and the real value comes from it. Because projects are about delivering benefits, or should be. They're about delivering really good outcomes. A lot of the time they don't do that. I think there's a stat that says something like, there's two stats that stuck in my mind. One's a Gartner stat, and that's that in 2023, 80% of AI projects failed, and that's because they weren't thought through properly. And it was kind of, oh yeah, let's use AI in our project, but they failed to deliver what they meant, what they were meant for. And then the other stat is, I think it's 83.3% or 83.8% of projects fail to, across the board, fail to hit their budget and timelines. Well, that can't be acceptable, particularly, in the UK, particularly in public sector organisations where it's public funds that are being used to deliver projects. I'm going to say HS2 is a really great example of that, and that was stopped. But how long did that go on for? How long were public funds wasted in that failing project? Had it been thought through and set out at the outcome and designed properly from the beginning, that might not have been the case. But, that was public funds, and that's what really kind of drives me. And that's because of my housing background, and seeing the impact on people's lives of the work that you can do in projects. And if we're wasting time, effort, resources, and money, delivering things that are not having an impact on people's lives, then why are we doing it? And that's what I'm trying to tackle. So I think there's multitudes of projects. You've got projects that improve business, you've got projects that improve people's lives, you've got projects that save money, make things more efficient. But the key to it is really understanding why you're doing these projects in the first place. And if you've got a tool that helps you to do that, you've got knowledge in your business and your organization, and you've got a real simple, uncomplicated process to follow, then you should be onto a winner. And that's what we try to create, and I think we have created it, and we've proven it by delivering consultancy projects. I think the next few years in project management is going to be more pressure on people, more pressure to save money, more pressure to do things, to budget, particularly in the public sector again, and private industry, because of outside influences that impact projects and stuff like that. So there's going to be even more pressure on project teams. So we need to give people that are delivering projects the support to do them effectively, and that is through knowledge, through working together, not just saying, oh, it's the project team's job to deliver that project. Well, it isn't. If and the other one that we do in Flowlio as well, around benefits analysis and profiling benefits, there's not a lot of systems that do that. So what we've done is we've taken it to the next level, and we've said, right, let's give somebody the ability to manage benefits effectively through the system, and what that enables you to do is really make sure that benefits are owned in an organisation and managed properly. Because a lot of the time in projects, I don't know about your experience, but mine is that gets left and it gets swept under the carpet, and then when a project's finished, nobody actually goes back and goes, did we realise the benefits we set out to? Have we got any benefits that we've not yet realised? And if so, what's happening to them? So that's what we deal with. And it's the same with things like lessons learned. People generally sit round at the end of a project, have a meeting on lessons learned. What went bad? All right, we're not going to do that again. Let's move on to the next project. It shouldn't be like that. You should be learning the lessons as you're moving through your projects, making sure that you're tracking those lessons, and anything that went bad, don't do it again. But the good things, take them, create a service improvement plan, and make sure they get owned and implemented. And that doesn't often happen in projects. So that's what we try to tackle as well.
Yeah, it's all those sort of things. Again, they echo really strongly, and I think the benefits realization one's really interesting because I've heard the conversations around. The thing is, you can build especially with some of the large infrastructure programs and things like that within government organisations. So the benefit realization on some of those, say the 2012 games, the legacy element of that, the benefits realization is tens of years in the future, isn't it? And some other things, the payback's tens of years in the future. But actually, if you narrow it down to an organisation that's trying to increase their sales next year and put in this system so it makes it easier for someone to order from you or whatever, how do you measure it? How do you do that? And I think you're right. That benefit realization beforehand is as a PM, you're not seeing that benefit always because quite often you'll get, here's your project charter, which you didn't write, that someone's drafted and said that's what you've got to deliver. There's a budget, by the way, mate. Oh, and you haven't got any of the resources we've got in there, but you'll work it out. You know what I mean? You're getting half the story, half the information. You can't connect that golden thread, as you said. And actually, you should be sitting there with that golden thread and say, well, so that's our strategic thing of that. Well, it's not going to do it now because that's changed in the market. It's a waste of time doing it. And as EMs, PMs, we don't have that strategic knowledge or that strategic remit sometimes to do that. And that's where some of the weaknesses of organizations where you'll have a PMO, it's part of the finance department or it's part of the IT department or something like that. It's not part of the strategic directorship. And I know there's lots of things where the chief project officer is a concept that people sit there because all businesses are projects now and there's so much project stuff going on is that they get hidden underneath and don't get a seat at that table to be able to go, hang on, I'm running a PMO for an organisation. I've got £20 million I'm spending. You just told us that the sales for that's going. We need to can half these projects. They don't see it unless someone at that level notices it. And they may not realise that project's still running.
Yeah, there's so many things there that you said. I mean, the key thing with me with benefits is that there's two things, right? We'll talk about benefits, but then there's the other one around that strategic representation from projects on boards and stuff like that. So I'll come back to that. But in terms of benefit, the way I see benefits is that if I'm managing a project, my job is to manage the project. It's not to do the work. It's to drive the project forward and manage what I've got in the project in terms of resources, people, time, money, whatever to deliver that project. I should not be doing the work. And quite often project managers fall into doing the work because the teams are not doing what they should be. And that's poor management. You know, that in my book is poor management. But doing projects is much more than just managing them. That's just an element of it, you know. And I don't like the term project management anymore because essentially, if you're doing projects really well, you're delivering outcomes and you're delivering projects. So therefore, you know, it should be termed project delivery, not project management, because management is a little bit, not a little bit, but management is a component of project delivery. And there's that many things around the edges of management that go to make up project delivery. Yeah? And one of the things, if we just stay on the topic of benefits, I could go on about this all day and I get on my I
told you we'd have some rabbit holes, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah. But if we talk about we'll be having a Guinness Zero down the pub soon, me and you. But if we talk about benefits, so as a project manager, the likelihood is, I'm not saying this is always the case, but the likelihood is that I am not the best placed person to profile, manage, own, and report back on whether a benefit's materialising and has been realised. You know, if I'm doing a contact centre project, for example, you know, and I say, right, in this project, one of the benefits is that we're going to reduce call volumes coming into the contact centre by moving stuff online, and then that's going to allow us to free time up of our agents to do things right first time for the people that are ringing us, right? So the net effect of that is that we're going to get better customer satisfaction. So the report, the KPI is, you know, we're going to improve customer satisfaction by whatever percent, you know, that is the KPI. As the project manager, I'm reliant on somebody in the contact centre to tell me that, whether that's happening or not, and whether we've seen it. So therefore, as a benefit, that benefit should be owned by somebody in the contact centre who reports back into the project to say, yes, we're starting to see it happen, and yes, we've realised it. That doesn't happen in projects a lot. What happens is the poor project team and the project managers get lumped with managing the benefits, and they're going, yeah, we think it's happened, but we don't really know because we need them to tell us over there. So there's that. And then there's that strategic question that you, or strategic point you raised, which is, I remember remember years ago, I'm a board member on Manchester City Council's Housing Advisory Board. Okay, and my job in that is to lend my expertise in projects, IT, whatever, business to that board and scrutinise that board. And I remember years ago thinking to myself, we've got this board in this organisation, but there's no IT skills on it, and IT is underpinning and driving the change in the business. So why have we not got somebody with business and IT skills on our board that can advise the other
Yeah.
board members? And I've got people that are finance directors or this, that, and the other advising on IT that they don't know about. So wouldn't it not make sense to have somebody who's got the expertise in IT and business to have them on the board so that they can provide their knowledge and lend their expertise to the board to make the best decisions? I don't think it's any different with projects now. I think, we're driving change and transformation through projects, and we've got skills within our project teams that that are delivering change, that are having real massive business outcomes. So why have we not got representation on those boards from people that are program directors, etc., etc.? And I think that's what we'll start to see come through in the future, because the way that we're delivering change and the way that the need to do more projects is going to drive that. And that's what I think we'll start to see in business. I think we'll start to see more project related roles on boards, advising on, number one, should we be doing this? Number two, what are the benefits of doing this? How are we going to put the governance
Yeah.
around it? What do we need to do? And that governance aspect of delivering change is huge, and we talk about a strategic link back to business planning, but there's also a strategic link from projects back to risk management as well. So if I've got a corporate risk plan and I've got a project that I'm delivering and it's got loads of risks in it, are those risks linked back to any risks that are on the corporate risk plan? And if they are, how's that being managed and how's that link being made? And I think that's another area that people don't really do that effectively either. I'm not saying everybody, by the way, but there's lots of room for improvement in projects. And if we can create that process, system, and knowledge, like I said, and we can have a tool that delivers all that, that's going to help. And we will end up delivering really, really fantastic projects on time to budget, not just on time to budget, but also delivering the outcomes that we want. Because you can deliver a project on time to budget, but it might not still have the outcomes that you're looking for, So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I come from with it all, really. And that's just through, like I say, 30 odd years bloody experience of delivering large scale projects.
I have an interesting take on the time, cost, quality triangle, in that if I deliver a project time to cost and to the scope, quality, whatever that's been defined, I could probably have done it quicker by removing some of the scope that isn't given the benefits when they're needed, and potentially reduce the cost. Or I could have done it cheaper. I think just delivering to those three parameters is short-sighted. We should be looking at what that outcome of that scope is, the business benefit, and therefore you may choose to blow your budget, you may choose to blow your timeline, you may choose to reduce the scope because the outcome that is needed is there, and you don't end up with, as you said before, with white elephants and those sort of things where you just get pointless deliveries.
When we focus on time and money, that blurs the lines. And that's where people then start to go panic and go, we're not going to do this on time, it's going to blow the budget. Well, actually, there's a conversation to be had, really. Okay, yeah, we've got a risk of blowing the budget, we've got a risk of not delivering it on time, but does the opportunity outweigh the risk? Yeah. And is it worth taking that opportunity, or do we stop? Yeah. And I think that, like I said, it's about mindset for me. It's not about being black and white in terms of we need to do it on time into budget. They're really important, but what we need to think about is, what are we doing, why are we doing it, what's the outcome we're trying to deliver here? And that's why I say that word delivery is more important than manage, because manage is cyclical. You manage things until your project's completed. delivering is I'm going to go from point A to point Z and everything in between, and I'm going to deliver what we said we wanted to in the beginning, unless that scope is changed for a bloody good for the best reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's okay to change the scope. It's okay to put changes in the projects, so long as that's thought through and you're still achieving the outcomes that you wanted in the first place, or you're delivering even better outcomes. And it's that mindset and approach to that, and I think that's what needs fixing in project delivery.
Yeah, and I think it would be it would make a massive difference. And then kind of thinking of the to facilitate that, the sort of the change of the responsibilities in an organisation. So when you look at it, you get your comment about the IT not being represented. Obviously, traditionally, IT, when you and me started, it was part of the finance team because they were the ones using IT because they were doing the accounting and the stock. That's what it was mainly for. So they would try and do it. And then eventually sales started getting involved with it, and then you got a few others. And eventually, but not everywhere, as you say, the IT came out and said, actually, IT is delivering to the whole organization, not just the finance. So that means the priority calls aren't just made by the finance director for what they want, it's corporately done. And that works. But certainly now, project management as a profession, I think, and obviously we've got the construction industry, entirely different thing, but certainly within the IT industry, as ended up under IT as being the skill set where it sits. But now with the digital transformation and the way that, again, a little bit like the IT systems come out from just being under the shadow of finance, digital transformation isn't about just doing the IT thing and then that's serving out. It's much more business based that you're delivering and then bringing them out there. And then you've got your business change, which is kind of sits under HR a lot of time,
Yeah,
where you're doing
yeah.
that business transformation, which again kind of sits in that project change, that project delivery area. And for me, that change chief of change within organizations, which is whether it's IT, whether it's physical, whether it's business, it's all the same subsets of skills, and you've got some core skills in there and you've got the sub variances in it. That kind of makes sense for why that as organizations would do that. And I think it's going to take time, but eventually that'll come out the same as the
I
marketing
think we're
director
seeing
came
that.
out from
Yeah.
under sales.
Through the work that we're doing, we're definitely seeing that kind of recognition of, right, we now need a centralized function that pulls
Mm.
everything in when it's needed. So if we've got a project that needs, I mean, I stopped doing IT projects a few years ago. I've delivered HR projects, I've delivered projects around comms, I've delivered lots of different projects in different sectors, but the principle of delivering them is the same. And had I had a system, knowledge, and a process to follow, it shouldn't really matter what kind of project I'm delivering or what sector I'm
There's some
delivering it in. We should
fundamentals, yeah.
have, we've got to, yeah, we need, and that's what Flowlio is really. It's not designed just to deliver IT projects. It's not designed just to deliver construction projects, which you can do. It's not designed to deliver, consultancy projects. Again, it's a system and a methodology, a process, and a tool set and a mindset that enables change, and it brings the things in and out when you need it. And that's what I think people are starting to recognize now. It's kind of, we're not just delivering time-bound activity here, we're delivering change and transformation. So therefore we need something that's flexible enough but has still got structure in place to make sure that we've got the controls and governance in place to deliver things really well. Agile was a really good example. I saw a client once. They implemented their own methodology years ago, and then they ripped it up and said, you know what, we're going to go agile, and everything was a car crash because people just did what they wanted, and all the projects started failing. So then they went back to having something that they could use to actually deliver projects. And it's a client of ours, actually. I'm not going to mention who it is, but it's a client now of ours. So they recognize that, and they recognize that they needed a centralized change and transformation function to bring in the things that they needed. But at the core of that was a methodology and a process, a system and knowledge to actually help people deliver it, no matter what kind of project you were involved in delivering. I did a project a few years ago now with a community engagement team. and they brought 30 kids in from the government Kickstart scheme into their organisation, and they said, go out into the communities where we've got problems with things like knife crime, gangs, there's social isolation issues. Go out and find out where the problems are. Bring them back to us, and what we'll do is tell us what projects we can do, and we'll, as a community engagement team, we'll sponsor one of the projects. But they recognised that they didn't have the internal skills to actually take those projects and turn them into valid business cases. So they engaged us to help them do that. And what we did was we worked with those 30 kids, split them up into 3 cohorts, and that organisation ended up, through the methodology, they ended up presenting the business cases back in a Dragon's Den type style to their executive team. And the exec team ended up sponsoring 4 projects, not 1. And 6 of those kids went on to get jobs with that organisation. And then the other 24 got project management skills on their CV to take to other employers. And that probably, for me, is probably the best project that we've ever done, because it had an outcome. It had an outcome on people's lives, and we used the methodology to do it as well. But one thing that really stuck out with me, not only did we train the kids up, we gave them the methodology and the tools, and we trained up the community engagement team. I remember one lady turning around to me and said, the bit you talked to us about stakeholders, she said, I never knew that. She said, that's the bit I'm going to take away. She said, I'm going to use it in my day-to-day job. And I said, you know what? I said, you're not a project manager. You don't need to be. I said, but if you learn one thing, be it risk management, how to manage issues, how to manage your stakeholders, how to plan, whatever that may be, you're going to help your organisation deliver projects really effectively. So it's not just about project teams and project managers. It's about how you bring people together to actually deliver change and transformation together, and collaborate and communicate really effectively. Because, like I said earlier, a lot of projects break down when the communication's really poor and people are not engaged. So if you can give the rest of your organisation an appreciation of how to deliver projects, they don't need to be project managers, and we're not professing to train everybody up to be a project manager. But if you can give them an appreciation and knowledge about core things in projects, they will help your project teams to deliver projects really well, because it'll be a collaborative effort.
Well,
Yeah.
I kind of, it's something I've always said around project management about it being a life skill. I kind of trying to teach my kids it, etc. And I think it's a bit like mathematics. You've got applied mathematics and theoretical mathematics. We don't need that to do our normal jobs. We don't need that in our lives, but we need a bit of maths. And having that project management skills, those basics, those fundamentals, those ways of dealing with people, those ways of planning, the ways of breaking down a piece of understanding critical path in any job. If you've got a big piece of work that you're doing yourself, being able to break it down into chunks and work out what you're going to do first, we do it anyway, but maybe there's other ways where people can think about doing it.
You do it every day.
Yeah.
You do it every day, don't you? You
Yeah.
get up, you make a cup of tea, you then get in have your breakfast, get in your car, go to work. That's a project. You're breaking it down into chunks of things that you need to do.
Yeah.
That's that. So my milestone is to get to work this morning, and then my next milestone is to get through my morning so I can have my lunch. So it's just that way of thinking, and that's what I really love about it.
It's interesting because it'll be that whole thing of making your cup of tea about the big argument of whether you put the milk in first or you put it in second kind of thing. And then on your plan, actually, it doesn't matter. Critical path's still going to work all right. It just doesn't matter which way around you got it, but there you go. We've been talking for nearly an hour now, and that's been
I've just noticed it said 99% uploading.
Yeah. We've been 57 minutes now, and that is we could probably talk for another 2, 3, maybe 4 hours. As you say, we could hit the pub later on and carry on. Just to wrap things up, was there anything that you were going to cover, like taking down different rabbit holes that you would have wanted to mention, and failing that, if people want to carry on the conversation, find out more information, well, how did they get in touch with
you? Yeah, I think the only thing I would mention is the ability to share knowledge and experience to make things better. So what we've done is we've set up a network of project managers in the Northwest. We trialled it out in housing really successfully. We've got our 3rd network event planned in March, and that's really about sharing good practice, best practice, and learning from people both, across different sectors, of how to deliver projects really well. The last one was what do people think about AI in projects, but it's an opportunity to bring people together to actually share knowledge and network. So we're going to be rolling that out across the country. We've been doing it in the Northwest. We're doing it in London. We're going to be doing it in Birmingham and Leeds and in Scotland as well. And in Wales, sorry, as well. So yeah, so it'll be a nationwide thing. If people are interested in that, yeah, I'd love to chat to people about that. But if people are interested in the software we've got, the training we've got, please do get in touch. I'm on LinkedIn, Stephen Repton, Stephen with a PH, or yeah, just email me, stephen.repton@flowlio.co.uk. It'd be great to hear from you.
Brilliant. Well, Stephen, thank you for giving me so much time. It's been a fascinating chat. And yeah, I'm going to round on your website as well, have a look at Flowlio and find out a little bit more about that myself. So,
it's a good one. That the website's not that good. We're changing it, so it's just one to get us up and running. So we've got a new one that's being launched hopefully by the end of Jan. So that's coming as well.
So when people are listening to this, it'll all be there. Then that'll be great.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. Brilliant, exciting times. Well, you have a brilliant rest of the week, and hope it's not too cold up there in the northwest as it is here. I think it's blooming freezing. You're a bit further north than me, so you'll probably get even colder. So there you go.
Yeah, the sun's out, but it is cold.
Yeah. Right. Thank you again so much of the time that you've given me, and speak again soon. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Nigel. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, it's goodbye from me, Nigel Creaser, and it's goodbye from him, the Sunday Lunch PM. Goodbye.